Well, Arsenal versus Burnley presser reaction. Arteta's gonna have to hold a press conference today ahead of this highly anticipated game as we go into the international break. And why has this press conference been highly anticipated? It's because of the injuries that Arsenal are really having so far. As I told you, Julian Timber, Thomas Partey, Gabriel Jesus, Martin Odegaard, Edin Nketiah, Tomiyasu, Emily Smith-Rowe. 7 players are really injured in the camp of Arsenal, and Arteta had to give a detailed information about how far these players are right about now here onto the Rokani Media Football. So we're here to bring you the Mikel Arteta press reaction. Sorry, we are reacting to the Mikel Arteta press conference as he went ahead to obviously put up a very huge statement at the London Conley. Ivan Kush, thank you. How are you? And who are you? And hope you're really having fun. This is Rokan David, and hope you're really getting the best that you deserve as a viewer of this channel. And we're here to obviously let you know about players like Martin Odegaard, Edin Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus. Arteta's going to obviously hint about his relationship with Vincent Kompany in there. So let's obviously take it on to where it deserves to be. We thank God for the gift of life. The Muslims welcome back from the mosques and hope you're really having loads of blessings from Allah. And the rest is really great. Let's obviously start it off with this. The Christians, may the living to God bless you abundantly. Now, let's start it off with Arteta on the latest team news. He was talking about the injuries, and this is what he had to say. You mentioned we have a few. If you are still in contention, we have to give them 24 hours to give them a chance to be involved in the game. But we won't know anything until tomorrow. Timber is for sure not. Thomas Partey is for sure not. And probably Emily Smith-Rowe is out. There might be a few more. So according to Mikel Arteta, has gone ahead and we will put out a statement about the situation or the current situation happening at the club of Arsenal as far as the injuries are really concerned. The 3 players going to have to confirm that they are totally out are Julian Timber, Thomas Partey, and Emily Smith-Rowe. And this is supposed to be obviously bringing a smile to every face of an Arsenal fan, because you never know that you might see players like Gabriel Jesus, Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, Nketiah, and Tomiyasu making it to the match squad as Arsenal takes on the side of Burnley at the Emirates. Huge game. And after this live video, I think in an hour from now, I'm going to bring you what we call the match preview, and hope you guys are going to love it because it's obviously going to be breathtaking. Lots of things to talk about: how Burnley is going to hate to fare away from home, and how Arsenal are going to hate to fare at the Emirates this season. So that's what I really had to say about his players that are really not available, and those that might obviously make what we call a comeback into that fixture of Arsenal. So Partey, Emily Smith-Rowe, and Timber are out. And for Thomas Partey, he might be out until January. Others are saying his season is over because he might undergo a surgery. So lots of things are really being said about this man, that is Thomas Partey. And we are here waiting to see how everything is going to pan out. And for Emily Smith-Rowe, it looks like he's going to be out for a month. For Julian Timber, if he really returns on time, that will be around it will be around February or January. That is it. If at all he obviously comes in early enough. That is the man himself. That is you get that is it's supposed to be injury boost. So that's how these players are going to feature at the club of Arsenal, and we really anticipate that it's going to go on as Arteta really wants it. But the physios of Arsenal are really working tirelessly to see they obviously get these players down where they are supposed to be. So that's the first question that was posed to Mikel Arteta, and that was his answer that he obviously went ahead to obviously put up. So Arteta had that to say in that presser, and we really expect more players to return. Now, he came out and said about Bukayo Saka on being called on the England national duty. Remember, I think Arsenal has two players, that is Bukayo Saka and Nketiah. He said, hopefully not. We want our players to play for their club and play for their national teams. But Bukayo had to leave the pitch because he was in quite a lot of pain. That's what he said. Then he trained yesterday, and let's see if he makes it tomorrow. So for everyone who really was doubting about the return of Bukayo Saka, Saka trained yesterday. He really had a very good training session with the club of Arsenal. And after him training, he is expected to obviously make it to the team. And if I already trained yesterday, then that means he's fit to go. And Bukayo Saka is really returning. So I think if at all there is a player that you will obviously anticipate to coming through and really play, it's Bukayo Saka for me. And I did it in my first video that I read today in the morning, letting you know that Bukayo Saka returns. So, letting you know that he's obviously going to really be part of the team, because if he just felt like they're trying to obviously injure me and he walked off the field of play, that's why I told you that he is obviously going to show up. He's obviously going to show up on the day, that is tomorrow at the Emirates as they host Burnley. Then he talked about Gabriel Jesus. Remember, Gabriel Jesus was not in the list of players that Mikel Arteta came out and really told us about their being unviable. And he has told us that on Gabriel Jesus being called up for the Brazilian national team and how he will be assessed, he said, we always try to speak with the national teams and find some common sense. The more important thing there is the best interest of the player. And after that, when we have secured that, what's the best interest for the national team and the club, and would like it the same exact way. So we all know that they communicate. And the moment I saw Gabriel Jesus being put up onto the Brazilian national team squad, I really got to know that there was communication between Arsenal and communication between Arsenal and Brazil, and they obviously came to a common understanding that, all right, this player can obviously be invited or be included into the squad of Brazil. And I think for Arsenal, it works for them better. Why? If he returns and really plays for Arsenal in the game of Burnley and really plays some minutes, that will obviously give Arsenal a chance to see it that when he goes to the Brazilian national team, he gets more minutes. That is it. Meaning that when he returns, as Arsenal prepares to play in the other remaining games before we go to the other international break, the player will be physically fit and ready to go. That is all about Gabriel Jesus. But this is a very big hint that he might be one of those players that you anticipate to be back as Arsenal takes on Burnley, as Arteta doesn't want to hurry him back, but you have nothing to do as a manager of Arsenal, because there is no way you operate without Gabriel Jesus. You saw to it that the game of Newcastle, they missed the player and they needed a player like him to obviously kill off games, but they never had one to do the needful. So that is it that Mikel Arteta is going to hate to say about Gabriel Jesus, and he obviously had to give us that update on why they included him into the Brazilian national team squad, yet he's ill. But Arteta confirms to us that the two have been direct contact, and they've gone ahead to obviously have a reason or a common ground of allowing that to happen. Then Arteta was asked about Martin Odegaard on whether he's been able to train. He replied and said he's still racing against the clock. He's trying everything that he can. So let's see. It's a possibility. So there is a possibility of Martin Odegaard returning. Huge possibility. It's obviously one of those possibilities that you would want to see to it that they happen if at all you're a national player. Sometimes people come out and mock him, like that in the game of Newcastle, he wouldn't have gone ahead to obviously put up a show, forgetting that last season when Arsenal was beating Newcastle at their stadium, it was courtesy of it was courtesy of his effort that Arsenal went ahead to obviously get the best of the best. He even scored a goal, and that is something that they are forgetting. But he is really racing against the clock and is trying to do everything possible so to it that he obviously makes himself available for that fixture. That is Martin Odegaard. Now, when you look at games like these, there are games that you wouldn't even think about him coming in through. But for a manager as Mikel Arteta, he doesn't want to risk. That is it. He doesn't want to take any risk when he's playing any team in the Premier League, because this is the Premier League. Any team can come and shock you. When you look at the results that Burnley has been getting recently, you might find that they are really trying to do the needful and not go to lose. They're going to come out. We don't know what the system of Burnley is going to do and what is the blueprint is going to bring in to stop Mikel Arteta's side. But for Arteta, he would like to have his entire team back. One will say that if at all you have Odegaard back, Nketiah back, Tomiyasu back, Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus back, it will be like getting a hammer and really try to kill a mosquito. But you can think like that, but you can only say that when the game of football is going to hate to come to an end. If it doesn't come to an end in your favor, then you won't say that Arsenal brought a hammer to kill a mosquito. That is it. So I don't find it prudent for Arsenal to have their players, though I believe they can win even without those players. But for a manager who pays a lot of attention to detail as a Mikel Arteta, trust me, that is really one of the things that he'll obviously look at every hour that really passes by. Now, let's go to something else here of Leandro Trossard leading the line for the side of Arsenal. And again, Arteta had something to say a little bit about it. And what did he have to say? Arteta said, on the flexibility of Leandro Trossard, given the injuries Arsenal all have in the front three, he said, I'm really happy with him. Obviously, it's been almost a year since he joined us. Yeah, it's almost a year since he joined the side of Arsenal. We all know that. And I'm really happy with him. Obviously, it's been almost a year since he joined us. We knew all his quality and what he could bring on to the team. That is it. And that's why you bought him, because he can fill different positions, but as well different needs and qualities, and we didn't have in the squad. When we want to do something different, and against Sevilla, he showed again his quality. So the quality of this man is really unquestioned. If at all you are there and you question the quality of Trossard, then you are the problem, because Trossard is going to hate to prove to us that he can do lots of things for the club of Arsenal and take Arsenal to where it deserves to be as a team. So for Arteta, he's really ready to see to it that he keeps this player here. And I'm also going to tell you that there is a player that very many people don't pay a lot of attention to, but this guy is really huge and good at doing his job, and that is none other than Leandro Trossard. He's one of those players that you can play in the central midfield, you can play as the left forward, you can play as a right forward, and you can play as a center forward. When Arsenal was playing against Sevilla, he led the line. He saw to it that and got himself a goal. And this season, he has gone ahead to score 5 goals this season. So it shows you what this guy brings up on the field of play, and he brings a lot to the table of Arsenal. And you'll all agree with me that this guy is really good and continuing to obviously bring us lots and lots of things that most people won't even think about. But I want to communicate to you that it is something that keeps on really. It is something that obviously keeps growing, and it's really good for the side of Arsenal. You just need to be having a Leandro Trossard every time you feel like things are not going your way, especially when Nketiah and Jesus were away. Obviously, they had an option of him to lead the line, and one will say even Kai Havertz would have gone ahead to lead the line. But remember, you never had an Odegaard in that midfield. So I think the manager is obviously going to really bring back his players. And I think the players like Nketiah are obviously going to be here to do the needful. So we wait and see how that happens. But for me, Leandro Trossard was a bargain for Arsenal. And I think he's one of those players that you are obviously not going to miss. Sorry, you are obviously going to want to watch every time Arsenal is really playing. And those 5 goals is going to hit squad Arsenal. I think he's one of the few players at Arsenal that has 5 goals this season. Nketiah, I think, has 5. Jesus has, I think, 3. No, he has. Does he has 4 or 5? Because he has 3 in the Champions League. He has the goal he scored against Manchester United in the Premier League. I think he has 4. Then Bukayo Saka. Let me check about Saka and see what stats does Bukayo Saka really have this season. All I know is that he has 2 goals in the Champions League. That is it. 2 goals in the Champions League, 4 goals in the Premier League. Those are 6 goals. So it shows you that if at all Leandro Trossard, who doesn't start most of the games and comes off the bench, is really in that ilk of obviously having the same number of goals that Saka is having, Jesus, Nketiah, Martin Odegaard, it shows you exactly how good this player is and how important he's making the side of Arsenal to look. And I know nothing is going to stop him from obviously becoming one of those players that Arteta wants really to be having. And having players like Trossard, Emily Smith-Rowe, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, Julian Timber into your team that are really versatile and their dynamism is really huge, helps you in moments of crisis. Now, when you look at how Arsenal went ahead to play in the game of Sevilla with close to 5-6 players out, and they put up such a result, don't you really believe that it was really good news for this side? I think it was one of those good stories that you'll ever want to watch and really hear from your side. And thank you very much for watching through about that. And let's go into our second last slide that we obviously had to present to you. Now, Arteta on Vincent Kompany and how he's doing at Burnley. Remember, these two were really at Man City. Arteta was coaching Vincent Kompany, and Vincent Kompany was the player. Now, Arteta told us that I'm not surprised at all. I think he was already a coach when he played. He was a leader, someone very intelligent, and that would navigate very different scenarios really well. In the dressing room and above, he understood the game really well. He spoke several languages, and you could tell straight that he was going to be a top coach. Obviously, he's had a very strong career already. What they did last year was incredible, especially the way they did it. In this Premier League, we all have difficulties, all right? We all have good moments, and I'm really happy to see him doing what he's doing. So Arteta's gone ahead and obviously hailed the works of the manager is going to face tomorrow, that is Vincent Kompany, and he says that he's going ahead to do lots of good things for the side of Burnley. And at Man City, he spoke very many languages. He was a captain, and he really saw to it that this man was destined to become a manager of a certain team. And getting Burnley from the Championship and bring them to the Premier League, that was a win. But he talks about how hard it is in the Premier League, and we all know that in the Premier League, it's really hard if at all you really don't have the quality that can compete. When you look at teams like Nottingham Forest to survive, they really had to spend a lot of money, you know. But Burnley never spent lots of money, and there is no sounding name that you felt like they've gone ahead to sign. And I think that's their problem. But Arteta has gone ahead to continue to hail his former player at Man City. Then Arteta on how tough Burnley have found it this season. He said, looking back on the games they have played and the results they've got in some of them, they merited much more than what they did. I don't think it reflects actually what they deserve in games, but that is the difficulty of the league. Sometimes when you deserve more, you don't get it because the quality of opposition is so high. But the way they have transformed their way of playing the club and how they continue to play with the belief that they do, for me, it's remarkable. Obviously, if you're purist of the game of football, all you would love to see is that Burnley stays in the league. you would at every point want them to keep themselves in the league. But there are lots of things that obviously are called in for that don't keep you in the league, especially if at all you're playing like how Burnley is really playing. Burnley plays some good football, beautiful, but they cannot obviously kill off the chances they create. I've seen them in very many games failing to obviously kill off the chances they really create. So we wait and see how that is going to pan out. But you really have to understand that this team called Burnley might be having a very good plan. And if at all I'm Burnley, even if we are really suck, even if we reach a moment of being taken down, the Premier League, and you are obviously going to get relegated, stick with your manager. Why? The manager has a plan and a blueprint that can obviously keep you into the league. First and foremost, he's not spending huge money and he's getting in talented players on the cheap to see to it that these players get exactly what they deserve. And he's trying to build a culture and a philosophy at the club of Burnley. And if I told you an owner of Burnley, all you have to do is simple: go on and really give this manager time, because if he's scouting players from teams like Manchester City and so on and so forth, you get to know that it's going to go the good and better way. So I don't really anticipate that things won't go on as planned for the side of Burnley, but it's going to be a very, very hefty job for them to really get points at the side of at the side of Arsenal at the Emirates. If they are home, they would have gone ahead to say, all right, there would have been something positive, but I don't really find anything positive into that side of Burnley, and Arsenal might smash them badly. Inspector Guna UG, thanks for the updates, comrade. Thank you for just watching in through. So I sign out for now. See you later. The Muslims, Barakallahu fikum. The Christians, may the living to God bless you. Abundant Rock and Dave remains my name. I'm returning with the match preview. That's the next upload coming up onto this channel. Me out.